Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, wishing you guys a very happy Halloween. And although if you followed my work for years, you know that I've exposed a lot of the occult under and overtones that are just prevalent in not only our political system, but our corporate and media system as well. And I would contend that is no mistake. So today, when I received this bad boy early, I thought I'd do a short video on it. So what are you looking at here? Well, this one's a little bit different, but this is the Annals of the Bohemian Club. That's right, the Bohemian Grove, Volume 9. Once again, those that have not followed my work may not know that I've been talking about these organizations such as the Bohemian Club, Skull and Bones, and other, occult aspects of the world that a lot of people don't know about for years. And it always intrigued me that you had a power structure going into the woods and doing these kind of weird occult rituals, dressing in drag, and they were the people that literally brought us the atomic bomb. But we'll get to that in a moment. First, I want to kind of do an unboxing of sorts. Now, I have now almost all of them. I think I'm only missing one or two. This is my 8th volume, and we are eventually going to do a full video on all of them. So if you check it out right here, there's a book, and this one has actual CDs of the sounds of Bohemia. And what's really cool is this little booklet here. I knew it was coming in here only because I had seen this and missed it at one point. I didn't know whether it was going to be in there. But if you see the artwork here, okay, this is from 2007, but I have the artwork volume as well. Now, I don't know what treasures lie in this book, but what I do want to point out is that this gathering, at a bare minimum, is the middle class of what I like to call the predator class. In fact, the people who are inside the club are actually referred to as their middle class. So, man, this looks in great shape, and I'm pretty excited to get into this. Here's a actually first time I've seen this artist depiction of what we're going to talk about, the cremation of care. Now, I want to dispel some of the disinformation, misinformation, purposeful or not, about the Grove and about what's actually going on there. Because the cremation of care, its importance, and for those that don't know, it's a ritual where this druidic priest holds a ceremony of dispelling one's woes and cares by burning an effigy, sometimes of a baby. Now, it's a bundle of sticks at times, but it's always like an effigy of a human being on the altar in front of this ginormous owl god. Now, a lot of people have called this god Moloch. I refuse to do so, as they literally refer to their deity in these books as the owl, okay? And before the owl was their mascot, well, not really, because I wouldn't say mascot, because it was always their mascot. They like the aspect. It's a predator in the night, okay? That weaving spiders come not here. But before they had the giant owl, they actually had a giant Buddha. And I've documented this, I've shown this. And the giant Buddha, you would have that same type of druidic ritual aspect to it, okay? So it's grown over the years. In fact, this year, because of COVID-19 84, it's actually the first year ever that they have not met in Sonoma, California since 1872. And in a lot of ways, it was started by, these artisans, these people that were classic liberals socially, and infiltrated by the right-wing establishment because they wanted to cut loose behind closed doors. That's why people, I guess, associate it with Republicans, because you have people like Newt Gingrich and George Bush and even Reagan, right? Eisenhower, Nixon, I could go on. But others have gone there. And when we start to talk about how it's extremely important we have to talk about the nuclear project. I mentioned the atomic bomb, but what we really have to talk about, okay, is the fact that, first of all, talks there started there, where we had all these black programs in the beginning of a national security state. And these people do pose as Christian conservatives in many aspects, and they're anything but when you get out to the Grove in actuality, okay? And that is a huge issue because we like reality here, especially when they're setting policy behind closed doors. So by getting an insider look in this, you really get to see some of the things that the media does not show you. And I've kind of exposed 10 plus years ago now in Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, is that there's a code of silence. And again, if you're in a fraternity, maybe even in a lower level Masonic order or something like that, you know that happens. You do cover for one another. There are other brotherhoods you could say that happens in a lot. Organized crime, okay? Law enforcement, the military. These are realities. But when you get to these upper echelons of power, and you have somebody like, say, Willie Brown being the middle class of the predator class, because Willie Brown is a member, the actual Bohemian Club, where members can go year-round and not just the Grove, which is 2 weeks out of the summer, is located in San Francisco. And, like it or not, he can deny it or not, it was reported that he got a phone call not to get on a plane the morning of 9/11. That's the kind of power, okay, that membership wields. And don't get me wrong, I think that good people have gone there, but the allegations of what actually happens behind closed door with a minutia of these elitists is quite frightening. And that's what we're really going to get into right now. The darker, disturbing aspects that have been alleged by eyewitness accounts. And I want to point out that when you have these type of rituals, and yes, they do plays as well, don't get me wrong, but some of those plays, for instance, are Montezuma and about human sacrifice. We document that in Invisible Empire. Faust. And if anybody knows about a Faustian bargain, it's a deal with the devil. It's a deal with the devil. Again, hitting on that note of the cremation of care, where you have to get rid of your woes to move forward and basically, promote the ideals of this organization and club. So when we get to the Franklin scandal, and we get to these darker occult rituals that supposedly happened amongst just a few members of the Bohemian Grove, I want to point out to Aleister Crowley. Why? Because when we talk about Crowley, we can also talk about what? Sex magic and the power that he thought it wielded. Now, love him or hate him, he was a huge advocate of these types of practices. And when he would do incantations of other beings and write down what they told him, they are the ones that basically told him that sacrificing a young virgin boy while you know what, and slicing his throat and drinking his blood was the most powerful type of that dark magic. Now, I don't want to get into the details, but if you've read either the Franklin Cover-Up by John DeCamp or the Franklin Scandal by Nick Bryant, you will know that there is a part in that book that is extremely hard to read, both of them. I remember the first time that I read it, it was very difficult, but it involved something as dark as what we just spoke about with Crowley, okay? And we do know that people that have gone there, for instance, that people in, yes, the right-wing establishment have been labeled serial pedophiles by judges. You look at somebody like Dennis Hassert, okay? Remember, the longest serving Speaker of the House under the Republicans being labeled that by a judge, never serving any time for it, by the way. Okay? So, when I grew up, I always thought that those things were the things of horror movies, that the people into the dark arts or Luciferianism, they were the goth kids in high school that didn't have a girlfriend and didn't have any friends and just gravitated. It was clownery. But later on, you find out it's something very, very different. So I'm pumped to have this book. I'm going to check this out. I want to remind everybody that we're fully demonetized here. 100% demonetized on YouTube. So if you can, hit the GoFundMe. It's how we keep doing it, but definitely go check out rockfin.com. I am live at 11 a.m. Monday through Friday, that's Eastern time, on Rockfin for free. Create the free account now, because the establishment doesn't want me talking about these type of subjects. It almost never comes up in the mainstream unless to associate it with something like QAnon and mock it, okay? So we need to bring the facts to people and alert them to what's really going on. And Rockfin is a platform for free speech. So go make that free account now. And if you want to support me there and get a premium account, remember, it is like a Netflix for creators where you get everybody's premium account. So it is a win, 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 win. I want to thank you all. I love you, and I'll see you on the flip side.